For this video, we're going to be talking about the needs of living things. We're going to be going over the different basic needs and how animals and organisms use them in their everyday lives. So we're going to be talking about sunlight, air, water, food, and ideal temperature range. We talked about this being like shelter, and it's different for different organisms. So sunlight. Sunlight is the energy that makes all life possible. Plants need energy from the sun, and they use it to grow and to reproduce. They take in the sunlight and they turn that energy into sugars, and that allows them to do all of their life's functions. Sunlight also determines which plants live where. And if you think about the difference between a dandelion and a fern, dandelions require a lot of sunlight in order to grow, and ferns need very little sunlight. So sunlight often determines what organisms live in what regions. Animals can get energy from sunlight through two different ways, indirect and directly. Indirect is when they consume plants, and the energy from the plant is transferred to the animal when it eats it. Direct energy from the sun is the sun's rays. And if we think about snakes, they require sun's rays for warmth to keep their body temperature at an ideal temperature. Air, another basic need. Air is made up of oxygen, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen. Humans and organisms breathe, they take in oxygen, and they give off carbon dioxide. And consequently, plants absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen. So it's this cycle that goes through the plants and vegetation on the earth. Almost all organisms rely on the oxygen produced by plants. So plants are very important to that balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and the ability for organisms and humans to live and function. Next is water. We need water for our survival in order to survive. It helps us break down our food by digestion. It allows fluids move through our body like our blood, and it moves nutrients through our body to help our body grow and heal and just function. On the earth, there is salt water, fresh water. There are some locations where there's very little water, and there are some locations where there's a lot of water. And there are some organisms that actually live within the water. Water is very important for life on Earth. Food. Organisms get their nutrients from their food. They consume it, and the nutrients is broken down, and it goes to parts of their body, and it's used by the plant or the animal in order to grow and reproduce and just be able to do daily functioning things. If we didn't eat, our organs would stop working, and they wouldn't work as efficiently, and eventually we wouldn't be able to function. The different nutrients we get from our food are sugars, starches, fats, proteins, vitamins, and minerals. Plants get these nutrients from the soil, so that cycle of things decomposing and breaking down and becoming part of the soil. The nutrients and energy from those organisms breaks down, goes in the soil, and the plants absorb that through their roots, and that's their food supply. Animals, they can get it from what they eat. So once they eat a plant or another animal, they consume those nutrients and through that food, or from the environment around them. Ideal temperature range, or shelter. The Earth's atmosphere, the temperatures range between minus 88 degrees and 50 degrees. And all organisms' ideal temperature is somewhere within that range. And if it's too hot for that organism for a long period of time, or too cold, then that organism can no longer survive. So for example, the Douglas fir. In the American Southwest, the Douglas fir is starting to die off because it's staying warmer longer, and it's much drier. And that is not the ideal temperature range for this tree, and so it's starting to die off. And they're saying eventually, in some of these states, there will not be any more Douglas firs. Now, what does this matter as just a tree? Well, when we think about our ecosystem, if we lose a Douglas fir, we lose all of the basic needs that this Douglas fir provided for other animals and other species within that given region. And that can throw that ecosystem out of whack. So there's your review of the basic needs of living things.